In the last 3 lecture hours, we put immense effort to learn how entropy can be measured. More precisely, entropy of a data set, right? And this is the formula, as you know, how the entropy can be calculated given a data set. So here Pi is the prior probability that a record belongs to a class Ci. If in your training data set there are m number of classes, then we have to take the sum of Pi log to Pi to get the total entropy. So this formula we have shown how this formula can come, and then we have discussed about it. And this entropy measurement is very important to build a decision tree. Now, before going to that discussion, that means how entropy can be used to build a decision tree, I just want to mention few information that is important to note. What is the minimum entropy of a training data set? What is the maximum entropy of a training data set? And few more important characteristics so far the quantity entropy is concerned. Now, from this expression, you should agree with me that entropy E is always a positive quantity. And further, the entropy can be any value greater than or equals to 0. Right? So it is not that the entropy will be always in between 0 to 1. Entropy can be even more than 1 also. But it is a positive quantity. Now, entropy can be 0. When entropy can be 0? Now here the Pi, if Pi equals to 1 for any, for any class Ci, then you know log to 1 is equals to 0. What it does mean when Pi equals to 1? If all the records in a table belongs to only one class, then the prior probability is equals to 1. And in that case, E is 0. And this is the minimum entropy that is possible for a given data set. So minimum entropy is 0. Now, in this entropy calculation, if there is no record belong to a ith class Ci, then definitely Pi equals to 0. So Pi is 0. If it is, then log to 0 does not give any meaning. So we should exclude that count. So only for Pi non-zero, we have to take into account in this calculation, and then E will be calculated. So we have understood about the Pi, that it is positive quantity, the value is greater than or equals to 0, and the minimum value that is possible for a training data. Now let us come to the discussion of when the entropy of a training data set can take its maximum value. You can check yourself. I'll give you the hints. If all the records are uniformly distributed among k number of classes, then in that case, the entropy of the data set is maximum. I can tell an example. Say suppose there are 100 records and all records are distinguishable among 5 classes. and the distribution is balanced. This means that belongs to each class, equal number of records are present. That means 20 records are there in the class C1, another 20 records are there in the class C2, and so on. So in that case, Pi, this is equals to 20 by 100. That is the prior probability that that a record belong to the ith class Ci, and taking the sum over altogether for all classes, you will be able to come to the value that log 2 5. You can check your calculation, then you can find it. So in general, if there are n number of records and the records are classifiable among k number of classes, the maximum entropy that is possible is log 2k. And in this context, you should note one point is that entropy no way depends on how many records are there in the training data set. Whatever be the value of n, entropy is independent on the total size of the training data set. Okay, so this is about the entropy. We have learned how entropy can be calculated. It is very easy calculation. And then few important points regarding the entropy. Now let's come to the discussion how this entropy information is crucial or is very useful to build a decision tree. Now to do these things, I just would like to go to one previous discussion which I made, that how the decision tree can be constructed. Now in this decision tree construction algorithm, as I said, it is a build decision tree algorithm. This algorithm, as you know, it is based on top-down, recursive and divide and conquer approach. Now the idea is that you have given the initial training data set, you go to split the training data set into number of smaller training data set, and so on, right? And then again for each training data set, do the same thing. So that is why it is called the top down. And it is called recursive because we have to do the same thing starting from the bigger one to the smaller one. So recursive. And divide and conquer because the larger one divided into smaller one. And each time the larger one divided into the smaller one. So that is why it is called top down, recursive and divide and conquer based algorithm. Now here one important point, that starting with a large data set, we have to go for smaller data set. That means partitioning. So if the large data set is D, then we have to go to D11 and it is the D12 and D1P. Now how this P value? This P value will be decided based on which attribute that of this data set you consider for splitting. Here this is the algorithm. Select an attribute AI, right? Depending on that attribute, the P, the number of partition in this case will be decided. Because if the attribute AI has P different values possible, then it should be partitioned into P number of sub data sets. And in each data set, it contains AI value belongs to only one value only. So this way, the number of partitions depends on the attributes that you have to select it. and the rest of the things are recursive and divide and conquer. Now here this step 2 is very important. Why it is important? This is because if you select an attribute which can leads to only fewer partitions, or you can select an attribute which can leads to a very larger number of partitions. Now out of these two situations, which is more preferable? The smaller number of partitions is preferable or larger number of partitions are preferable? Now in order to get this answer, we can apply the entropy calculation. Now here you see, for this input training data set D, we can calculate entropy. Let this be E and D. This is the entropy of data set D. Similarly, for the smaller one, we can calculate the entropy of this also, D1. Similarly, here the entropy of all the smaller data set we can calculate. Right? Now here question is that what is the relation between ED to ED1? Whether the entropy will be decreased or entropy will increase. That means if entropy of D is say 5, then what about the entropy of each subsets, say ED11 or D15? It will be less than 5 or greater than equals to 5. Now, what is your guess? Whether entropy will decrease or entropy will increase whenever we go top to down, top to bottom? Anybody can guess the answer?
Entropy will increase.
Entropy will increase. No, it is absolutely wrong.
Entropy does not depend on the size of the training set.
Entropy definitely does not depend on the size that I have already mentioned, but entropy depends on something. Now, if you understand entropy, possibly you will be able to give the answer correctly. So entropy definitely will not increase. Now here you see, the idea it is at the terminal 1, right? Now at the terminal 1 data set, when you stop, what is the meaning of that? That the class level belong to only 1. And in that case, what is the entropy? If all the record belongs to only one class, what is the entropy?
0.
Correct. Absolutely, entropy 0. And when the initial data is there, so entropy is higher, it is 5. Then you can understand that, okay, if we go down, entropy will change from a higher value to a smaller value, 5 to 0, right? This means that entropy of a table in a higher level has the higher value than the entropy of any partition will in the lower level. So we can say that entropy will gradually goes down, decrease. Now this also can be interpreted in other way. As you know, entropy means what is the uncertainty. So definitely, as you know, at the initially the uncertainty is very high. Uncertainty regarding what? Uncertainty regarding to decide whether an unknown record belongs to which class. But as the number of records decreases, right? It actually, or it is decreases in the sense that it is actually more refined. So far the records are belongs to a particular class. Now this means that uncertainty will decrease, and then uncertainty directly proportional to entropy. So we can say that entropy will decrease. So this is the idea of the concept of entropy, and this is the starting point that we can use this concept of entropy so that we can decide which will be the more preferable attribute. What I want to say in other way, that we should not decide an attribute which leads to a very fewer number of partition or larger number of partition. Rather, we should select that attribute which leads to a partition, and then the sum of the entropies of all the partition in that level will be less. So if there are A1, A2 and n number of attributes are there, then we have to select that attribute, say AI, for which the lowest entropy is possible. Here the lowest entropy of the entire system. That means the entropy of all the partitioned data set. That means ED11 plus ED12 plus ... plus ED1P. And this is the clue that I can tell you, and let's proceed further so that we can understand the different algorithm which leverages this concept of entropy into the picture. That means to build the decision tree, and then there are different algorithms actually known so far, right? Now all the algorithms actually to take few decision judiciously. So here the first is that choosing the best attribute that needs to be selected for splitting. And then another criteria that it considered, that splitting criteria. The splitting criteria mean, you know, if an attribute has only binary values, then obviously only binary splitting is possible. But if an attribute has multiple values, then we can go ahead both for binary splitting as well as multi-splitting. I have discussed about, for example, an attribute may be categorical but have 5 different values possible. Then we can go for binary splitting as well as multi-splitting. And obviously, there is no way if the attributes are of integer values or floating point values. In that case, we have to go for multi-splitting. But again, even we can go for binary splitting also. So the algorithms, there are many algorithms which actually works on these two considerations. Which attribute that needs to be selected and what will be the criteria of splitting that we can think for. Now there are plenty of algorithms are known. All these algorithms was evolved in the last century only, in 90s decades, and out of these are the algorithms which are landmark algorithm, it is called. That time all these algorithms was created as the top 10 among top 10 algorithms. So first we shall discuss about ID3, then second we shall discuss about CART, and finally we will discuss about C4.5. Now let us first start about the algorithm ID3. Now this algorithm has very peculiar name, ID3. Can you guess what is the meaning of this name? D may be decision, but actually it is not decision. Actually, this algorithm proposed by a group of mathematicians from New Zealand and led by Quinlan. And he proposed this algorithm in 1986 in a conference paper. And he gave the name of this algorithm as ID3. Here ID stands for iterative dichotomizer. And 3 actually the version of that algorithm. This indicates that he tried with many possibilities, ID1, ID2 and ID3, and finally found that ID3, the third version of the algorithm, works better. So here in this algorithm, Quinlan gave an idea about which attribute should be considered for the splitting. That means it gives an idea about deciding the splitting attribute. Splitting attribute means which attribute should be selected for splitting. Now here he said that each node the splitting attribute should be selected in such a way that it should be the most informative among all the attributes. Now, this is the line which is very important to note. The most informative among the attributes. That means, say here, initially if you start, or at any instant, if you start with this data set and then it has many attributes that needs to be considered, A1, A2, dot, dot, AN. Then out of these N attributes, you have to judge that attributes as which is called the most informative attribute. Now here is the clue that how we can decide about most informative attributes. So whenever we are in a building a decision tree, so we are at a node, and here for this node we have to select an attribute from this one, right? And then there will be a partitions, right? Now this attribute A should be selected in such a way that this attribute will be considered as a most informative attribute. Now let us see how we can give a tag to an attribute as the most informative attribute. Now here entropy is being used here. So in ID3 it is solely based on the concept of entropy. That means entropy is used to decide which attribute is the most informative, or to measure the informativeness of an attribute, or it is also called informativeness of a node. Now, as I already told you that it is observed that splitting on any attribute has the property that the average entropy of the resulting training subset will be less than or equal to that of the previous training sets. That I have already told you. Now, in order to measure the informativeness of an attribute, he introduced a concept, or it is called the metric. It is called the information gain. Information gain, how to calculate, I will discuss in detail shortly. The idea of this algorithm is very simple. It says that you measure the information gain of all the attributes which are splittable. Now again, splittable means the attributes which you have already considered in the previous node, in the path from root to the current node, that should not be considered, because you can select only one attribute which is yet to be splitted. So splittable attribute, right? Then the idea is that you calculate the information gain of all the attributes which are yet to be splitted, and then select that attribute which has the largest value of information gain. So idea is pretty simple. Now let's see how we can define the information gain. Now say suppose D is the size of the data set at any instant, that means where you are to select an attribute to create a node in the decision tree. So D, it can be a partition data set or maybe initial data set. So at the starting point, this D is the initial data set. Okay. And here this denotes the size of the data set D. And here ED denotes the entropy of the data set D. Now here the entropy of a training data set D, as I already mentioned, it can be calculated by calculating the PI values for all the class level. That means the prior probability of all the class levels, right? So ED can be easily calculated given a data set at the instant. Okay, so this can be easily calculated, right? Now here the information gain according to ID3, it is denoted as alpha. Now let's see how we can define the value of alpha. Now PI is very straightforward. PI can be calculated by total number of records belong to the class level CI in this data set D and divided by the size of the data set. That is pretty simple that you can do it. Now, here, if you select an attribute, say A, and this attribute if has the m different set of values, so it will leads to a partition into Pm number of partitions D1 to Dm. Now, with this consideration, the information gain can be defined. First, to do that, we have to consider the calculation of weighted entropy. Now, weighted entropy, it is denoted as E subscript AB. That means weighted entropy considering the attribute A with reference to the data set D. A has the m distinct values, or it is split, so many split that we can go for. M is actually here the number of split that we can think for with reference to the attribute A. So j equals to 1 to m. Now dj, if we split for the first values, then dj is the first partition and d is the size of the input data set. And edj is the entropy of the jth partition. So taking the sum of all these, actually it is the weighted, right? Here this is called the weight of each partition, dj by d, size of dj by size of d, multiplied by the entropy of the jth partition. So this is called the weighted entropy, right? Now weighted entropy physically says what is the expected information that is required to classify a record so far the attribute A is concerned. That means if we take A for the splitting, then what is the expected information that is required to classify a record? So it is that some information that is required to classify for your purpose, because you cannot do it in a random guessing like. So this is the given the what amount of information that you can have, you can require, so that you can classify a record based on the attribute value. So this is the weighted entropy calculation. Anyway, this weighted entropy given the data set D and then attribute A, we can easily able to calculate EDJ, and then this is also weight formula. Now using this EAD value, we can define the information gain. This is denoted as alpha. So you can say the information gain so far the partition of D is concerned with reference to attribute A, and this is a simple formula. This formula says that information gain is in how much reduction of the entropy of the original data set from which we have started. That means the current data set from which we have to do the partition with respect to A minus the weighted entropy. Now if it is less, then this alpha will be more, and it is our requirement that we have to select that attribute A in such a way that this should be a smaller value. So it is smaller means the alpha will be larger. That means we will be able to reduce the expected number of information that is required to select a unknown record that it is belongs to which class. Now this is the formula for information gain measurement, and this is the theory that okay you can consider in algorithm ID3 to decide whether A will be considered or B will be considered or another attribute C will be considered. Now let us consider an example so that you can understand this concept very clearly. Now in order to understand this concept, I would like to give an example, and this example we can start from this data set. This is called the OPTH data set. Now this OPTH data set consists of number of records, around I think 24 records are there, and here are, as you see, the 4 attribute age, eyesight, astigmatic and user type. So 4 attributes are there, and all records are distinguishable among 3 classes. So class levels, there are 3 class levels, and all attributes are categorical for the simplicity in the illustration we have considered. And then age has the 3 different values, eyesight has 2 different values, Estimatic has 2 different values, use type has 2 different values, and like this one. So they are very simple record, and we can tell that this is the OPTH database, and we want to build a decision tree for this data set. We want to build a decision tree for this data set. There is actually our task. Now let's see how we can do that. So we can apply the algorithm ID3, and for that algorithm, what you can do that, okay, let us start with the splitting attribute age first. Then we can start with estimatic, then you can start with use type, and then site. Now, so let us start with age as the attribute. So in this case, A is age here. Now age has 3 different category of values. So if we select age, then it will give 3 partitions. Let us give the name them as D1, D2, D3. And ED1 is the entropy of the D1 partition, D2 partition, and D3 partition. Okay. And E age D1, we want to calculate what is called the weighted entropy. For the D1, it is very simple. Size of the D1 divided by D multiplied by ED1. That's all. Similarly, E age D2 and E age D3 can be calculated. Once this is calculated, then we can use, this is the summation of all these E age D1, right? So E age D1 plus E age D2 plus E age D3. And this will give you E age D, that means weighted entropy, if we partition the input data set D with respect to the attribute age. Now here you see the information gain that can be calculated, right, for this attribute A is 0.394. I'll give the detailed explanation how this 0.394 can come. And then here recall that the original entropy of the initial database ED, that means OPTH, was 1.3261. It is already given there in the slide number 50. Okay, here you can check it there. So this is the data set D, and for this data set, the entropy that can be calculated, right, it is 1.3261. So this is the entropy of the starting data set. Okay. Now let's see how the weighted entropy of this data set can be calculated. Now first of all, age, taking age equals to 1, that means if the attribute age takes the value 1, then D1 will be obtained, and this is the D1 partition. As you see here, all the value for this attribute is 1, and this is the right. And here ED1, that means the entropy of this data set D1 will be calculated using our previous formula, minus pi log to pi summation of all classes here. So it will be calculated as 1.5. This is the simple matter of calculation using your calculator. And then E age D1, size of this data set, it is actually 8 records divided by the initial data set is 24 multiplied by this entropy, which can come out at 0.500. Similarly, we can go for D2 data set when age is equals to 2. So here all the records that is there with attribute age is 2. And for this record also we can calculate entropy. Entropy for ED2 is 1.2988, and then weighted entropy for this partition is 0.4329. Similarly, the D3 partition, it can give the entropy of this partition is this one, and then weighted entropy is this one. So taking the sum of all the weighted entropies of D1, D2 and D3, we can get, this is the total weighted entropy of all these partitions. And this is the initial entropy, and therefore the information gain, initial entropy minus weighted entropy after the partition, and it will obtain as 0.394. So this is the information gain if we select age as attribute starting with the data set D. Now we have to repeat the same procedure again for other attributes. We have done with age, other attribute eyesight. you can repeat the same calculation, and then you will be able to see that information gain can be calculated if we consider this attribute for splitting. This is 0.395, and then for astigmatic it will come as 0.3770, and then use type it will come this as 0.5488. Now out of these, this is the attribute which can leads to the maximum information gain. This means that use type will be the most preferable attribute for partition because it has the information gain. So it is actually the idea, it is that use type is the attribute that we should think for splitting, and this is the algorithm ID3 this says, and that is for the clustering. So here it is like this. Initially you start with OPTH, then H information gain, eyesight information gain, alpha it is there, and this one, and then maybe this result is not correct. Actually this result is you see 0.5488, sorry. So it is actually 0.5488. This is wrong actually anyway. So it is typing mistake. So we select this one as for splitting. So it has the two values. This is D1 and D2 because it has only two values of the attributes. And then starting with this eyesight, so we can split the record with respect to use type. It is only one values, and here is the two values, right? Now here surprisingly, if you see, it is actually the three. That means all records, whatever it is there, belong to only one class. So if you can calculate entropy of this D1, then definitely it will be equals to 0. So no more splitting is there. So we can terminate this into the level of this node that it is the class level 3. So this one. But here again we have the scope to split it again. Now to do these things, if you see, the entropy of this data set will be non-zero, greater than 0 rather. And then again, this is already been selected. So we have then option H, I and astigmatic. So again we can calculate information gain with respect to age, eyesight and astigmatic. Then take the values alpha, and if we see that eyesight has the highest value, then again we have to go for splitting, unless if we see that all records in the partition table, they are not in the same class. Okay, so we can repeat it, and then finally you can go for building the decision tree. So in this case, the decision tree started with the root node at use type, and then the left subtree and the right subtree you can go for getting it. I leave it to an exercise for you to check yourself. You should try out with your pen and papers to understand the concept more clearly, so that you don't have to remember anything. If you understand correctly, then everything, whatever the question that will be given, you will be able to give the answer comfortably. So better you can do for practice. It is actually good for you. So you have understood the concept that you can think about it. But as you can say that, okay, it is so computation, how I can go for doing it in a plain and paper using this one. Really, manual computation or manually building a decision tree is very tedious if it is not impossible. That is why people usually don't do. But writing a program, if you are good in coding, and then many programming languages like Python or R or Spark, you can consider to write the code, and then you can use it, and then okay, writing the code, and then each time putting the output of each step, then you can understand that how the information gain is calculated, how the weighted entropy is partitioned, then how the weighted entropy of the total number of partitions, all these things you can get it, and then you can check that how the values are okay, changing of one starting from the top to bottom levels. Now there is another shortcut method. This shortcut method can actually early days, this shortcut method is being used to build the decision tree manually for a toy example. So it is the idea about it is called application of frequency table. A frequency table for an attribute say X, can be calculated like this. So it is, suppose X is the attribute that you want to consider, and this frequency table will consider number of rows that will depends on how many different class levels are there. So C1 to Ck, suppose k different class levels are there for your input data. So you can just, okay, they are the rows. And then columns are what are the different values of the attributes are there. So if they are x1, x2 and xi and this one. Now the entries in the frequency table, see it is Fij. This means that how many number of records are there for which the attribute X has the value Xi and which is belong to the class Cj. So this can be easily calculated once a table is given to you. So Fij entry for each cell can be calculated, and therefore this table will be completed. And if you take the sum of all the values here, right, taking all the entries, right, okay, you can take, actually it is, this is the entry. Anyway, so this is the entry, and there will be another row can be considered, and another extra column also can be considered. Now this is the extra column. It says that what is the total row sum, and this actually called what is the total column sum. That means sum of all the entries there, sum of all the rows are there. So this actually gives you sum of all the row entries or sum of all the column entries, and essentially this is total number of records that is given there in the data set. It is called, say, n. Okay, so this is the concept of frequency table, which can be easily constructed or obtained given an input data set. In your exam, if a data set is given to solve the problem, then definitely you should go for the shortcut method. That means use the frequency table to calculate the information gain measurement. It is very easier, no need to remember so many difficult formulations or problems, but you see what is the formula, it is there. Now, so far the OTP age data set, and for the age attribute, right, we can have, this is the frequency table, class 1 to class 3, and this is the column sum or this is the row sum, and this is the frequency entries in the cell for the different values, and n is the total number of entries there in 24. Now this frequency table easily can be calculated, and there is a less chance of error only if there is a counting error is there. Otherwise, okay, it is very easy and very straightforward. Once this frequency table is done, then you can follow this formula to calculate two values. One is called the V value and S value. The formula of V value is like Fij log to Fij and taking the sum of all the entries. That means in the table, whatever the Fij, this is Fij into log Fij. That means 2 into log 2 plus 1 into log 1 plus 1 into log 1 plus 4 in 1 into log 1 plus 2 into log 2 plus 2 into log 2. So all Fij take into summation, then it will give you the V value. So it is called the entry sum calculation for all k equals 1 to n. Similarly, S value, it is actually summation of all column sum, right? So it is actually the column sum is Si into log 2 Si. Now, once you got it, right, then you will be able to calculate the weighted entropy using this formula. EXD is equals to minus V plus S divided by N. So weighted entropy that can be calculated using this kind of frequency tables easily. And this is the formula only you have to remember. That's all. Minus V plus S divided by N. And then the information gain can be easily calculated. For example, here the V calculation and S calculation, and then EH calculation it is there, and finally the information gain. If you know the entropy of the initial data set D, then the information gain alpha age D can be calculated, and you can find the same formula, it is there. Now, how this formula came here, V and S calculation based on this, and finally this formula, there is a proof of mathematical concept, but I don't want to go to this proof. I left it as an exercise for your own study. You can go through these slides, few slides are there so that you can understand how this formula came into the picture. So there is a formal proof, it is here. But anyway, you just remember only the sum result. That means EAD is equals to this one, and you can find it. That is useful for your calculation. So this is the idea of the algorithm ID3, and few things that you can think about it, that what is the minimum information gain value, what is the maximum information gain value, what is the characteristics of information gain. So just like an entropy calculation and everything, all those things, okay, simple the concept that you can think about in some several situations. For example, all the records belongs to only one class. If they are uniformly distributed, then what is the information gain? All these things that you can think about it. And another consideration that you should consider also, that if an attribute has the larger number of partitions, then whether the information gain will be more, or if it is the smaller number of partitions, the information gain will be more, and vice versa. That you can just simply go on thinking yourself, you will be able to give the answer of your own. It is very easy, but I will come, okay, some discussion on this end also. But let's go for the other algorithm that we can think about it. So regarding the limiting values of information gain, I have placed few slides for your understanding. But again, I don't want to discuss all those things in details. You go through the slides, you will be able to follow it easily. So the maximum values of information gain, the minimum values of information gain, when it occurs, and in which situation it gives, all those things are, it is easily available to do that. Now here one point that is most questionable point is that if it is a categorical attribute, it is fine. We can know that how many partitions are there. On the other hand, if it is a continuous domain attributes, that means attributes defined with either integer values in a continuous domain or any real values in a continuous domain, then what should be the splitting criteria? As I told you, that is decided by you only, that if the integer values are there, for example, age can have the 5 different range of value. You can note down in the OTP age data set one attribute was age, but I have made into the 3 groups, 1, 2, and 3. It is like this: age, if it is above 20, 0 to 20, then is group 1, say 1 data. And then if it is 21 to say 40, then age, it is 2, and then 40 above, and then maybe it is 3. So this way. So this way the splitting criteria needs to be considered, but ID3 algorithm never says anything about it. It is up to the programmer, up to the user. So usually in our experiment, we starting with a small number of data discretizations to a very large number of data discussions, that is possible. And then we can check that with which right data discretization we can get better result. So it is not there any no proof or no theory or no idea that, okay, if the value are within this range of values, then that will be the splitting condition or data discretization, you can think about it. So in general, the idea is that for ID3 algorithm, you can prove it if you can go for practice or some lab hands-on experience with the number of data set given to you, then you can do some practice in your computer with your computer, then you can check that ID3 usually gives the result better if we can split a continuous domain value into a smaller number of partitions. It always favors the smaller number of partitions. But unfortunately, ID3 always go towards that, selecting the partition which leads to a very higher number of splitting attribute. Anyway, I'll come to this discussion later on. So idea is that, okay, if a continuous domain attribute values are there, then the best idea to go for binary splitting. So binary splitting, actually the concept it is that just at the mid value, say suppose age is from 1 to 100, so mid value may be 49. So take one group that 1 to 49, another group 50 to 100, and then okay, take the splitting criteria with respect to this one and then go for this one. So it is like this: if A1 is less than equals to 49, and if it is greater than 50, then it is the concept, it is greater than 49, then it is the two node, the two partitions can be opted. Okay, so this is the idea usually we follow in our experiment when we do some ML algorithm to be applied to build a model using decision tree and using ID3. We usually face with numerical attributes, and in that case we use the midpoint calculation based or binary splitting only. Now next algorithm, it is called algorithm cut. Algorithm cut, it is the binary decision tree only. Now algorithm ID3, it is not necessarily that the arity is binary or n is n-arity, as I told you, decision tree can be n-array. So algorithm ID3 can produce a decision tree which can have arity more than 2 or more. But algorithm cut gives an algorithm which always produce it always builds a decision tree, and it is a binary decision tree. Now let us consider the background of this algorithm. The two algorithms were developed at the same time, around 1984, and they also have published in the same conference. It is a knowledge discovery conference, one very popular conference in the field of information retrieval and mining. So the algorithm named as CART because it is an abbreviation of classification and regression tree. So the short form is CART, and it is a binary decision tree. The idea of the CART algorithm is that again it is also the main target is to decide which attributes should be considered for splitting. Now ID3 use the information gain, whereas the CART algorithm consider the measurement of Gini index. And then it is called the Gini index of diversity, which is usually denoted as gamma. Now let us see what do you mean by the Gini index. Now definitely it does not consider the entropy directly as ID3 consider. Rather it is actually consider one metric called the GD, the Gini index of dataset D, which is based on the calculation of prior probabilities. If there are k number of classes, then Pi, the probability that the record belongs to the ith class, then I equals to 1 to k, taking the sum square and this one. So it is the Gini index calculation. So given a training data set D, you will be able to easily calculate what is the Gini index using this formula. It is very straightforward. Now once this Gini index is calculated, and you can check that the smallest value of Gini index GD is 0 when Pi equals to 1, and the largest value is 1 minus 1 by k when Pi is equals to 1 by k. So this is somehow related to the same concept of entropy like. And then the Gini index of diversity which can be calculated using this formula. Now as I said, it is only considered the binary splitting. So the D should be splitted into D1 and D2. Even the numerical attribute in the continuous domain, also we can take the midpoint splitting. So this way it is D1 and D2 always. So this is actually the formula. Gini index of diversity is weighted average of Gini index of diversity, the same formula that is used in the weighted entropy calculation. So D1 by D, this is weight for the first partition multiplied by the Gini index of the partition 1, and then weight of the partition 2 multiplied by the Gini index of partition 2. The same line, the idea about the Gini index of diversity. This is the Gini index of diversity, which is the initial Gini index of the partition D, and then what is the reduction of the Gini index of diversity according to this formula. So it is there. And if this is larger, then if this is lower, I mean if this is smaller, then it favors that A is preferable for splitting, because the smaller is the Gini index of diversity means it is actually towards the more expectation that purity of the information. So initially, if has the higher value means more impurity, and more impurity means more noise, means more uncertainty. And if this value is less, means it is towards the more purity, that means all the records belongs to only one class, then we can say that all the data is more pure. If they are distributed among more number of classes, then we can say that impure. So this impurity or purity, it is measured using this Gini index of diversity calculation. Right? And then, so we can select this attribute A, which has the higher value of Gini index of diversity. So this formula is same as the previous algorithm ID3, but those two algorithms are independently developed by two independent group of researchers. But it is actually, fortunately, most of the things are the same, and it is the idea, it is there. Again, Gini index of diversity you can apply using another data set which I have given here. This is the the salary data set or EMP data set. It is called the employee data set. It has the attributes like this. It has only two class, binary class, and then here in this case all are right categorical attribute. But you can take the notation that you have to go for binary splitting, and they are categorical, not that ordinary honorical. So you can take young and middle age one group, and then next middle aged and old, and this way you can go for binary splitting. So that concept you can think about it. So for this EMP data set, the initial value of EMP that you can calculate, it is 0.4.590, and then we have to take the Gini index of diversity with respect to age, salary and job, and then performance, right? It's the same procedure as we have considered for the previous one. Here again see, we have to take the different partition Y, M, O. This is because the first salary age has the three different group, and then this is the one partition, and another, and this one also, right? And for each partition, how you can calculate, this is shown an idea about it, and you can calculate that this is actually gives the higher value of Gini index of diversity. And similarly for the salary also, these are the different partition that you can think about it. So for the binary splitting, L and MH, or it is L, M and H, right? Actually two partition, you can take this one, or one this one, or another this one. So the two partition, they leads to salary 1, salary 2, salary 3, salary 4, salary 5 and salary 6. And for this different, the Gini index of diversity that you can calculate, and you can find that for salary, for this 5-6 partition, that means if we take this is the splitting, then it will give you this diversity 0.084, right? In the previous case, these are the YM, Y, this is the one partition, or O, Y and M, this is the one partition, and then Y, M, O, this is the one, another splitting is there, right? And for this actually you can see these are different partition that you can have it. And for this age 1 I have calculated here. Similarly for age 2, that means take M and then YO, then you can calculate it again. Age 3, that means you take Y one value O and other is MY, right? Then you can calculate this one, and you can check that they are same actually. So in that case, G age 1, G age 2 and G age 3, and out of which you can check that G age 3, the Gini index of diversity with respect to this splitting, age 3 splitting, that means taking Y and MY, it gives you the higher value, that is called 0.3750. Okay, so with respect to age and taking this splitting, it gives the Gini index of diversity 0.3750, and with respect to salary attribute, with the splitting attribute salary 6, right, 5, 6, this one, it gives you 0.084, and similarly for other job, it can be calculated, you can check about it. For performance also, I left as blank, you can go for calculation, and you can check that, you can, given the idea is that salary D gives the maximum value of Gini index of diversity. That means, given the data set D, then salary should be the splitting attribute. Here actually it is the splitting attribute MH or L. So starting with the salary as a node, then two nodes, One is M or H is the value of the salary, or L is there. So it will give you smaller partition 1, D1, and it will be D2. That's all. Okay, then again you have to repeat with this one with respect to other attributes which has not been splitted, namely age, job, and then salary like performance like. Okay, so this way you can build the decision tree. Now it is good to know that how the decision tree can be obtained according to the algorithm ID3 and according to the algorithm card. Again, this also gave as an example, as an exercise, so that you can practice yourself. It takes some time, maybe it will take 2 days or so to learn all 3 algorithms manually to explore how they work. Now, like the ID3 algorithm, the frequency table also can be considered. Same concept of the frequency table that you can, and here the GDJ calculation that you can follow, that is the Gini index that you can follow using this formula. Okay, this formula only to be remembered here in this case. That's all. Then we will be able to calculate the Gini index of diversity using this simple formula. So here, so this is the frequency table for the EMP data set. You can use this table to calculate the Gini index of diversity, and then you can get the result. So here is an example. It is given there for only one attributes. For other attributes, it remain okay, exercise to you. Similarly, the same thing also with the OTPH. You can practice using algorithm card. You can get the idea about it. Now, I just want to conclude this another algorithm C4.5, take maybe another 5 minutes or so, because algorithm C4.5 developed by the Quinlan, who developed the algorithm ID3, and it is a mere small extension of the algorithm ID3 in fact, and it is proposed in the same around 1986, 2 years later of the algorithm ID3 is reported. The idea about this, there is a shortcoming so far the algorithm ID3 is concerned. Shortcoming is that algorithm ID3 always select that attributes which has the larger number of splitting. That means it has the larger number of attributes values actually. So there are 2 attributes, A1 and another attribute say A2, and A1 has only 2 values, right? And A2 has set 5 values. Then algorithm ID3, without considering anything, it will always gives the better or gives the higher value of information gain for the A2 only. That means which has the highest number of partition. This can be proved mathematically, of course, but you can check with practically also with taking some data into account and then getting the results, and it is always there. So that is why the algorithm ID3, although it considers the entropy into the consideration, but it favors that attribute having the larger number of attribute values, which is somehow leading to a very bad decision tree formation. So this algorithm has been, it is called the overfitting problem. So far the algorithm ID3 is concerned. So ID3 suffers this overfitting problem. To overcome this overfitting problem, the same researcher proposed another extension of the algorithm called C4.5, and in this algorithm they follow another metric. It is called the gain ratio. Gain ratio is the same concept that is there in the split information that we have used it. Now for the gain ratio calculation, they use this formula. Now this is the formula by which the gain ratio of a partition data set can be considered. If suppose m number of partitions are there, then it is the weight. You know, we have used the weighted calculation in the weighted entropy calculation there, and it is also weight value. So weight into log 2 weight, this is the one formula they have proposed it, and it is proposed empirically to give you the one formula. It is called the split information, and it is denoted as E star D. Now the beta AD, it is called the gain ratio, and the gain ratio is, this is the information gain which is according to the ID3 algorithm divided by this calculation. So this is the extra calculation which is added into the algorithm C4.5 to calculate the measurement of gain ratio. As you know, so beta AD is equals to alpha AD if this is equals to 1, right? If they are same. Otherwise, the beta AD will always prefer to that one which has the lower value of E star AD. Now lower value of E star AD means if it partitions the data into a smaller number of partitions. So this way somehow it controls that which leads to the partition which is more balanced in the sense that neither lower nor higher that will be taken into for splitting. So this is the beta AD calculation. Beta AD calculation is based on this gain ratio. Gain ratio is used the formula. This is one and this is the idea about it. So this is the algorithm C4.5. It is essentially same thing that you can think about it. And again, the data set that we have given it, you can start calculation on this data set to get the full idea, full impression about this algorithm. And you can check it that it is working sufficiently. Again, same the frequency table also you can consider. If you use the frequency table into your calculation, then this is the formula that you can think for calculating the gain ratio, split information in this case, right? So this way the split information, using the split information in the calculation of gain information, it will give you the gain ratio, and that is the formula, it is there. And here is the summary of the three table. That is for quick recapitulation. You can think about ID3 consider information gain. It will select that splitting attribute A for which the maximum information gain is there, and what is the information gain calculation, it is given, it is here. Now similarly CART, it calculates it based on the calculation of Gini index. How the Gini index can be calculated, this formula is there, and we have to take that attribute A which has the maximum Gini index formula. Then next is gain ratio, that is used in algorithm C4.5. What is the formula? It is here, and it also considered that right attribute A for which the maximum gain ratio is there. Now there are few things about that. This algorithm can handle both categorical and numerical attributes, so it is good. It favors splitting those attributes which have a large number of values of the attribute. This algorithm, as it considers binary attribute, it is computationally little bit expensive compared to the algorithm ID3 as well as the algorithm C4.5. Out of which C4.5 truly is the best algorithm known so far the decision tree building is concerned, and it is highly favorable. Okay, so this is the idea of today's discussion, and few more points it is mentioned here. It is not necessary to go through, but if you are eager to know more about it, it is also mentioned here, but you can skip it for that time. Okay, we have taken much enough of time to discuss the decision tree and decision tree based classification technique, and details about these algorithms you can find from two books. Data mining concept of techniques is from the Hand and Campbell. Another also good book from Tan, and then Steenbach and Vipin Kumar. It is the name of the book is Introduction to Data Mining, right? And these are the two good books, really very good book to know many classification technique, including support vector machine also. So usually I consulted these two books to prepare my slides, and based on this one. Okay. So if you have any question, that's fine, right? Any question, please? Anyway, I have already uploaded those slides there. So you please go through the slides. Yes, please.
Sir, can we get some practice questions? Like, just like tutorial thing that you uploaded last time.
Okay, by today I'll upload the slide questions related to this discussion. Okay.
And can we ask, like, is it possible to get the answer